Hey there everyone, I'm David Benites from Extreme Vocal Institute, and I'm here with my friend Telle from The Word Alive to talk with you guys about their new album, Hard Reset. How are you?
Good, a little tired.
Yes.
As I told you just before we turn all this stuff on, very tired actually, but excited for album being out. We're day 2. We're in Boston on the Blackout tour with our friends and from Ashes to New and Catch Your Breath label mates, and then Echo.
Very sick.
I'm excited for it. Excited for Thanksgiving tomorrow. Or when is it tomorrow?
Yeah, tomorrow.
Yeah, okay. I think it's tomorrow.
Yeah, that's how music works. We're all at work right now, all the way up until then. Yeah. And speaking of, and we'll get to tour stuff and stuff with the album in a moment, but because you just got back, how was Seoul? Because you just did the Worlds show there.
Yeah, did Worlds 23 for League of Legends and Riot Games. It was absolutely insane. It's the third biggest production, like pretty much in history. It's bigger than like the Super Bowl, like what they do. The only artists who've ever done that level of production are Metallica and AC/DC, and it was insane. It took like 1,600 people just to like build the stage and the LED walls and everything. Wow. So really, really big production by like the best in the world, and to be a part of it was awesome. It broke the record for the most watched esports event in history. So
really? How many-ish?
I think that like the live minute highest peak was like 5.5 million just in like the highest peak.
Damn.
And it'll go over 100-something million total viewership.
That's fantastic. That must have been such a blast. Just like in that many people in front of you too, with all of that going on around you.
Yeah, and it was like, so there's this player, his name's Faker, and it was his 10th, he's been doing it for 10 years, and he had lost last year. His team T1, so for any gaming people, they'll know what all this means, but he lost last year and he won it was his 10th year winning in Seoul. Like it would be like Michael Jordan like winning one more championship thing where it's like he's the best, he's like the face of the entire game, and so it was really crazy to like witness it in person. It was in a stadium that's everyone's just freaking out. It was insane. So
that's so fantastic. I'll definitely have to check that video out later. And is that on YouTube too?
Yeah,
definitely check that out when you all get the chance as well. And now that you're here, are you stoked to be on this tour playing a bunch of the new songs for everybody?
Yeah, excited. We were doing the tour in the summer, and then the album came out like towards the end of that tour, and so this is really the first tour where it's like post the album being out, people being able to like listen to the songs, so
they know them a little bit.
Yeah, even night 1 in Portland last night, there was another song we played called One of Us that we hadn't played yet live, and a bunch of people were singing, so it's just nice to be able to look out in the crowd and see people like moshing, going crazy for songs that are your newest ones.
Yeah,
I think every artist loves when that happens, so very, very stoked to see like where this tour will go for us.
Oh, it's really exciting. I know we're really pumped to see how a lot of these songs are live, because we've only seen a couple of the singles because we haven't seen you in a little bit. And especially after doing a lot of these songs together in the studio last year when you were tracking them and just having had them respectfully stuck in our heads for a very long time, it's very exciting to finally know that other people are enjoying them as much as they are, and kind of watching the reactions to it and watching you have fun with it too.
Yeah.
Have you had a favorite that you haven't done yet for shows that you were doing in the rehearsals for this that you're excited to finally be doing?
So yeah, One of Us is the only one we haven't played at all yet, and so just being able to play another song off the album that we weren't is great. All the new songs that we are playing have just such a unique energy to them. It's like Nocturnal Future, it's like I get to run around more and jump. It's just very fast paced. Slow Burn is that very, sad kind of ballady song. Then New Reality is kind of like somewhere in the middle. Strange Love is heavier and just has like a really sick groove to it. And then One of Us is kind of like, I'd say like almost a culmination of like what the whole album is and sounds like. So I love getting to play new songs, and I think as we get deeper into the album cycle, being able to play more and more from the album will be sick.
Yeah, and then even just evolving with it and transitioning from like how you've been sitting with these songs for like a year plus and change, and as they've even changed since then, to what they're going to start to become as you kind of get into the rhythm of it now that you're going to be doing it more together.
Yeah.
From last summer when we were tracking them, one of the things that I thought was the coolest about this was how dynamic everything is between all of the different songs, and just like moving around between so many different kinds of vocal ideas and like different kinds of ways of expressing yourself.
Yeah.
How has that been now that you've been starting to get into that these last few months, playing the new stuff, now that you're kind of experiencing that day in and day out as opposed to like what we did back then?
You know, it's for me, and you know, the whole reason, you know, when I called you was like, I always want to evolve. I always want to learn more about my voice, and you know, it's not like it's a competition, but it's also like when I see, you know, friends or peers like doing something, I'm like, damn, like, I wonder if I could figure out how to do that. Like, it's just, to me, it's cool. It's like a game where you're trying to beat the game. Everyone wants to beat the game, and to me, it's like the more I can learn, the better I can be on tour, the more consistent. It's just more fun playing the game. And, you know, I want to, one day when it's all said and done, I want to say, like, you know, from where I started to where I ended up, like, I want to say, like, I just tried to always, like, progress and evolve, like, throughout the entire time. So that's kind of my objective. I just always want to get better and always want to try to put out the best version of my voice.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm so glad that we did end up doing that together. Just being able to help you find that has been so fantastic. And seeing it on the other side has been really great. And being there for that, like for you kind of tracking these things as we did that, and then as you kept tracking after we left, do you have any moments from that, like from any of the songs that are like particular highlights in your head, from like finding something new to like trying something that you weren't sure about that you're really stoked that you did?
Yeah, I think just like making it easier on myself to do things that are hard, or I had in my head that they were hard, and now some of those things aren't. I think like breaking old habits and forming new ones, and understanding the nuance of your voice. You know, for me, like, I've been doing this a long time, and I'd always been pushing myself, but you can't perfect vocals. Like, there is no technical ceiling. The ceiling is however hard you work to improve your voice, and then it just keeps getting higher. So it's like this never-ending chase. And so for me, with this one, just like being able to expand my range and expand my vocal abilities at this point in my career, where, you know, I've just seen people from not trying to adapt and not trying to evolve or learn more about their voice starts to deteriorate. And I feel like my voice is just getting stronger every year.
Yeah.
And so, like, that's my goal, because that's the key to longevity. Even if I didn't learn any more new techniques or anything, the longevity is like the most important thing to me now at this stage of my career. I'm still going to try to learn new things, but for me, I think just like vocal health is like the top of my priorities. And so even just like some of the stretches you taught me in certain things, like and understanding the benefits to them, instead of like, it'd be like going out and playing, you know, a sports game of some kind and not stretching, like you're probably going to pull something. And it's like me understanding, like, hey, like if I want to take care of my voice and not have some of these injuries that other vocalists have, I need to do whatever I can to learn about my voice so that I'm not doing any damage to it, which thankfully I haven't had to deal with a ton so far. But
that's good.
I just want to make sure I don't.
And at the same time, like, it's cool to be able to kind of embrace both things and like take care of yourself and like make sure you're setting yourself up for a good future with all of that, but simultaneously knowing like trying to perfect it is never really the point, and trying to have like everything be like the same or like super like unbelievably like just exactly what you try to make it be all the time doesn't necessarily always work out. And I know even when I've attempted to be like that in the past, I've definitely kind of put myself underground a little bit, trying to like hold myself to a certain kind of expectation. So it's cool to see you do the same kind of thing and really let yourself go. And I think it really shows in the songs too, with how cool that can be.
Yeah, I think just allowing my voice to be like what it is, and then just trying to like listen to my body and take what it's giving me. And then there are certain moments where I can be like, okay, we can push this further, and then other times you're like, today's not the day for that.
Yes.
And that's part of the perfectionist mindset, is like you want to be the same and you want to do all these things, but like now I'm jet lagged, my schedule is completely flipped. I can't possibly be 100% if I even wanted to.
Yeah.
So then understanding what my 100% is today, and still trying to abide by the rules and the laws of like the vocal health that I've learned. And that's like something that's, I think that's like the hardest part, is because then your ego comes into play and you go on stage and I'm like have the adrenaline rush, I'm like, I'm going to do this anyways, and it's like that's when you like blow out your voice or you do something. So
yeah,
like tonight I know I'm going to want to try to do like everything I do normally, but it's also about like enjoying just the fact that we get to do this. And so that's, yeah, I'm just like in a good headspace, good vocal health space.
Sick.
And I'm just trying to enjoy the record being out and hopefully do it justice, because I spent a lot of time on it, as you know.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, and just go out there and do whatever it is that I do.
Yeah.
And hopefully the right people will be like, oh, that's pretty cool.
Oh yeah, it's been really cool seeing all the reactions to this stuff, especially because I feel like it's the kind of music and the kind of record where there's like a little something for everybody. And just like, I know when we're listening to it, because I know we were listening to it again on the ride here, like we love like different songs for different moments and for different reasons and stuff like that. What do you feel like you kind of expanded into in terms of like the way you're able to express through this? Like, do you feel like you're able to tell a story or like say how you feel differently or better or in a new way now versus how maybe you used to be able to?
Yeah, I think, like with that goal of being like every record, I want to learn something new and try to, showcase different aspects of my voice. Like, I definitely think like the higher range of my singing is something that I was able to access and accent again, but in a different way from how I did when I was like younger and everyone was just trying to sing high. Yeah. Now it feels more like natural, and now it feels more, like intentional for the moment. And I think that's like one of the biggest things in general, is being intentional with the vocals that I'm using, whether that is a different range of screams or singing in those styles. And like you said, the diversity, like I wanted to essentially have every vocal style I can do on the record, and that's what I did. I have like the lowest screams to the highest screams I've ever had. I have the pretty soft singing to like the highest I've ever sang. So I think being able to do that like 15 years in, I'm pretty stoked.
And keep it exciting, because after doing this for a while, just trying to do the same things, go through the same motions can get kind of insane, especially when you go on stage and you're having to do it again and again and again there too. So to keep it interesting for your own personal enjoyment too, I feel like does matter so much.
Yeah, it makes it fun. Like it's like, oh, we're playing this song and I get to do that one thing that only happens maybe in that song, and those types of things. So still a long ways to go, still trying to get better. So this record, it just like set a new bar, and now when the shows come, that's when I like really get to like put it to practice. And then when I'm doing it, like you said, when you're doing it all the time, that's when it like really sinks in. And then now I can take that, and that's my starting point for then the next record, which I'm like, I gotta figure something else out for the next one. So and we will. So.
And that's sick. And speaking of just like songs and like doing it with different stuff, how do you feel now, especially like after this last year of like all the craziness that there has been for you, this like going all over the place, having the songs do what they've done, the record being out? How does that kind of, in your opinion, set you up to kind of write differently when you are writing for yourself with the word live, when you're writing for yourself for your own solo stuff, or when you kind of venture out and you're messing around and doing stuff writing with others?
Yeah, so I mean, I just feel I would say like more confident than ever in my vocal ability. So
That's sick.
like when I'm in a room, like I feel like I can also not only understand my voice better, but understand other people's voices a little bit better.
Yeah.
And you know, when you share knowledge and the gift of vocal ability with someone else, and you're like, oh, I used to do that too, and you can be like, hey, let me help you with that. You know, it's just like a gift that keeps on giving.
Yeah.
And with the writing stuff, like for me, it creates less of a box. Like the more you learn about your voice, the more that you can do whatever you want. And that's just how I love to write music. I'll go into a studio some days with no intention to write for The Word Alive, myself, or someone else. I just try to write based off of feeling, and then once that starts to show itself, then I'm like, I know what it's for. And then I just go and try to keep it in that lane. But for The Word Alive, I think, you know, we got to happily reintroduce, you know, some heavier, more aggressive, more high energy elements and aspects of our band. And so, but then also simultaneously make some of the most melodic, just like strong songwriting songs
Heartfelt.
of our career. Yeah. And I think just all those things are very real, and they are The Word Alive. So I think like just taking those and just seeing what's the evolution going to be for the next record. And so it was like Hard Reset was literally what it says. It was a hard reset. It's a fresh start. This just means like that. To me, I look at Hard Reset as like album 1, even though it's album 7. And so now I'm looking at our future and our career in a completely different light. And I'm really excited for, like, I write year round, so like I'm always writing.
Yeah.
And already have begun on what will eventually become the next record. So
That's it.
as we go, like I know certain boundaries where I want to break those boundaries, and certain things that we haven't done maybe ever, or things that we have done but not in a long time. And I'm like, what would that look like in like 2023, 2024, 2025, and thinking bigger, because, you know, for the longest time, there was a lot of tumult. There were some tumultuous years, and then, you know, you had the pandemic and everything shut down, and you have this kind of like, what are we gonna do? Do we still want to do this? All that. Now all those answers or questions have been answered, and so now I'm just thinking, yeah, like the next 5 years, the next 10 years, and so it's fun making music again, and it's exciting.
That's wonderful.
So I'm just happy to be here, as they say.
That's sick. And I feel like that's so interesting to kind of end on here, because people on our channel all over the place know that we talk about like how to do lots of different vocal stuff all the time. And you'll remember how when we were doing all of this for the new record, which is called Hard Reset, and you should listen to it, by the way, that we did so much in terms of like me kind of playing you like a marionette a little bit and doing so many different things to kind of get that stuff out. But when we came in, like a lot of the stuff already existed in terms of the idea. So something really interesting that I know I've been meaning to ask you, that I think a lot of our viewers will be interested in, is for you, if you could sum it up to like one thing, if you could take everything you've like learned like in this last year, everything now about like expression songwriting, however you want to think of it, and express that to who you were when you were kind of just starting out. Like if there was one thing you could pass on to yourself from then, what would that be?
Oof. We would have a very long sit down with that version myself. I definitely would say trust that you love this enough that you're going to figure it out is like one of the things that I would tell my younger self. But also, you gotta go to work. Like, you know, it doesn't just, there is a innate and natural ability that like I had and a lot of people have to sing. Screaming is something that I fully believe anybody and everyone can learn. You can't necessarily teach someone pitch, but you can improve upon it, and you can improve upon every element of your singing. Yeah. Always. There is no cap to it. And, you know, so for me, I think I didn't know who I was even as a person, let alone as a singer yet. Yeah. But I didn't even know that I should be searching for that. I was just trying to like follow along and just kind of do what I thought I should be doing.
Kind of go through the motions of it.
Yeah, and so like my younger self, I would be like, okay, here's a checklist of things. Like, start working on this, start doing this.
Yeah.
And I think that's a benefit too of like the times we live in. Like, this didn't exist for me back then. But this exists for someone who's starting that eventually will be the next people who are sitting here and doing these things like 10, 15 years from now.
Yeah, they're out there.
So I think like if you're hungry, then it's just a matter of time, and it's a matter of hard work and being passionate about it. So I've enjoyed it the whole time, so I want to have to tell myself to do that, because I'm very thankful for what I do. But I think the biggest thing is just like lean into like the work. It doesn't, farmers have to go and like plow and plant and wait and see the growth and learn from their mistakes. So that's everything I would tell my younger self. A lot more, but that's the concise version.
In terms of this, and like lean into the work and love it too.
Yeah,
that's really great.
You have to love it. And celebrate those little wins when you're like, oh, I couldn't do this before and now I can. Like, and once you learn that thing, celebrate it and then move on to the next.
Damn right. And with that in mind, I hope everyone holds that here and takes that with them moving forward with everything that they're doing here. And that about wraps it for now. And once again, like I said earlier, I'm David Benites here with Extreme Vocal Institute. This is Telle with The Word Alive. Go listen to the album Hard Reset. It's so sick. No skips. Every single song rules. Definitely go check that out. If you want to see more stuff like this, you have more questions, anything else, leave a comment on this video. Make sure you're subscribed for the next time we do something like this, and for the inevitable return of this guy right here in the future. And make sure you go see the Blackout Tour if you're here in the United States. Again, thank you for watching. Keep screaming responsibly. Enjoy yourselves.
Later.
I'm gonna hug you now.
Yeah.
That was sick.